Hey everyone, welcome to Kempner Canucks. My name is RevTrev, and I'm so glad you're here because I'm going to be making this video today about Canucks management. The big question I'm going to be answering is, will there be major moves in Canucks management? Post in the comments what you think, because this is a legitimate question. Not sure if there will be major moves, but there's possibly one, and there's a lot of rumors going around regarding this conversation. And so I wanted to dive in. I've been wanting to dive in for a couple weeks now. Haven't had the time, but here I am. And if you'd like Canucks content is passionate, realistic, and honest, hit the like and subscribe. I'd absolutely love that. Okay, so we're going to dive into this big question, and I think it's an important one. Now, this team is rebuilding, okay? There's no doubt about it. I think we're going to see even more moves this summer. The question is, will there be these major moves in the thing? As you saw the thumbnail, I've got an X on Foote, so we're going to talk about Foote. I got a question mark with Alvin, and then I got Jim Rutherford, okay? Now, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this one because I've already made a whole video whether the Canucks should keep or fire Coach Adam Foote. Now, I think Adam Foote's a great guy. I think all these people are great people, okay? I'm not saying we should or shouldn't fire. Well, maybe I am. What do I know? Okay, I'm just a fan, a passionate fan, but just looking at this team, there's a number of things that don't make sense. Now, I think for all of them, none of them saw this happening and going the way it did. So I want to give people a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But still, Foote continues to baffle us as Canuck fans, okay? Absolutely. It's like, doesn't make sense. The lines that he puts out there, the people he values, the people he doesn't. Like, for example, we got to get Pettersson going. And he has clearly played well with Höglander. And for a lot of the season, he has taken Höglander and he's been on the active roster, off the in the stands, or press box, I should say. Or if he is playing, he's on the fourth line. And then he continually shows a lot of love to Evander Kane, who has really struggled this year. And that doesn't make sense. Then he's taking the bro line, Besser, Rossi, Ogren, and he split it up. And you're like, we're already last. So what are the expectations for the last 6 games of the season, the last 3 games at home? It should be like, hey, let's try to win these ones. We're already dead last. There's no doubt about it. So the question is, does he go forward? Well, here's the thing. If you fire Foote, okay, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. If you fire Foote, it's guaranteed contract. He gets paid all that money. So $1.5 million for this season, next season, and then the season after, whether he's coaching or not. It is hard to just keep firing coaches. Now, he's been the ultimate tank commander. If you want to tank again for sure next year, he is the kind of coach that you would probably want because he keeps doing these things. Maybe there's top-down pressure that he needs to play certain guys. Like, why isn't he putting a Swedish line out there with Höglander, Pettersson, and Karlsson? Just let them run for the rest of the year. Just see how they do. Just do that, right? He's putting Booyam on the third pairing. You've got to be developing that kid. So finally, he's got him back up to the first pairing with Hronek, which is good to see. Get Mancini just playing those games. It doesn't matter what P.O. Joseph does at this stage. It's all about developing Mancini. These are the things that Canuck fans are scratching their heads and wondering what's going on with this team. It doesn't make sense. So should the Canucks fire Foote? Whether you believe they should or shouldn't, it's going to be an interesting conversation coming up. But the bigger one is in regards to Canuck management. And the question is Alvin the right GM to rebuild this team? Now, it seems like from what you're hearing, Rutherford's got his job and he's going to be okay. He's not going to get fired. And I know that Alvin and Rutherford are good friends, okay? Have a good working relationship, and that's good. But The reason why I wanted to make this video is just for this reason. Are they on the same page? Now, once the draft lottery hits, which is May 5th, if we get a top number 1 overall pick, maybe it's time to move it. And you're saying, why would you do that? Because Allvin has clearly said he wants more Canadiens on. No, sorry, not Allvin. Rutherford has said that he clearly wants more Canadiens on the roster. And then you have a Swedish GM who continually picks and wants Swedish players on the roster. So you not only have Höglander, Pettersson, Garland, you went and you traded a first-round pick for Marcus Pettersson. You've got DPD in the lineup. You've got all these guys. You start thinking about all these Swedish players. And if they go Stenberg, if he wants Stenberg over McKenna, Rutherford's got to fire him if he wants McKenna. Okay? Gavin McKenna, Canadian boy, that kind of thing. I think Stenberg's going to have a great career. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm just saying that there's a potential third riot going to happen in Canuckland if you went Stenberg over McKenna. That's how passionate this fan base is. And they're the experts. They're the ones that are sitting in they're the professionals, right? And they've got to make the right call here. So Stenberg makes a lot of sense to bring him and to play with a guy like Pettersson to help him get his career going. I think McKenna still does that. But that would be an awesome addition as well. And I'm not saying it's the wrong. Well, I guess I am. I'm leaning McKenna. Okay. But if they get like the third pick, then maybe you keep Allvin and there's not this thing. And maybe Stenberg falls to you. Maybe someone picks Verhoff or Reed at the second pick. It all depends on what you do. But if we had that first pick and the Swedish GM, Patrick Allvin, is going to go pick McKenna over Stenberg, do you have to fire him? Like that's the conversation. And who's going to have the better NHL career at this stage? A lot of people think it's McKenna, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say. So the other question is this: how long is Jim Rutherford going to continue to work? He's 77 years old. Him and Allvin didn't come to Vancouver to rebuild this roster. That's not what their desire was. They were trying to take this team to another level to bring it to being a contender and win its very first Stanley Cup. And here we are after a great playoffs where they made the Zadorov trade, the Lindholm trade. They made all those moves to put in their best foot forward. We almost got to the Western Conference Finals. And then 2 years later, flipping the script completely, trading away the best defenseman of all time on Vancouver Canucks in Canucks history, Quinn Hughes, they felt they had to trade JT Miller. They gave a major contract to Pettersson and a extension to Demko when they didn't need to do that. Maybe that's another reason why they were second guessing whether Allvin is the right guy to rebuild his team. The question is like how closely do these guys work together? How much do they stay in their own lane and in their own position, and how much do they work together? Like, are they inseparable? Do they make all the decisions together, or is it like Allvin's like, no, this is my call? Even when the trade happened with Quinn Hughes, Bill Guerin said, I was talking to Rutherford, and I normally talk to Allvin. I'm like, that was interesting. Why? Why were you talking to Rutherford, not Allvin? And is Allvin the guy? Like, he's the younger guy. Rutherford's there for a while. And if you get rid of Allvin, who does Rutherford replace him with? And are they a package deal? Do they stay together? Does Rutherford want to say, how long is he going to work for the Vancouver Canucks? Is it 2 more years? Is he going to go all the way to 80, 85? Like, what's the plan? I don't know. So is there going to be major moves with this team? I'm not sure. Who else could be? There's a lot of teams looking for GMs right now, right? And that is something that's also to be in consideration. If Rutherford ends coaching here, is he done? Is he done? Is he retired? Is he like, you know what? It's been a good career. I'm going to call it a day. But the big question is, are they actually going to keep Allvin and let him continue to rebuild this roster? Or is Rutherford going to take over? And should they fire Foote this season and bring on a guy like Manny Malhotra, or I thought Patrick Roy getting fired and then getting DeBoer in the Islanders. That was a great move. That's who I wanted to be the next coach for the Vancouver Canucks. But here's the other thing that's just absolutely wild. Cassidy gets canned and Tortorella becomes a new guy. And it's like, well, there's Cassidy that's there as well. There's some really good coaches, Malhotra and those two guys. Maybe Patrick Roy wants to come there. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of options, right? And there's a lot of things to discuss and talk about. So I wanted to make a quick video regarding this. And I really want you to post what you believe, what you think, because this is a very interesting conversation, an absolutely very, very interesting conversation. And just a reminder, everyone, I'm everywhere. So please, if you're on any of these socials, YouTube, X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or Blue Sky, hit me up, hit the like and subscribe, because that would be really helpful for the channel. Now, there's a lot to discuss with these things, and most people have come into my comments and said, yes, absolutely should fire Foote. What if a coach comes in, a new coach comes in and starts turning this team around next season, and we really need to have a top 3 pick next year? That DuPont kid looks amazing. He's from Vancouver. He's the celebrating Bedard, and then the defenseman of that era. And it's like, that kid looks like he could be a super big impact player, maybe even a generational talent. We're not sure, right? And then what way will Allvin take this team? It's just a great question to ask. Again, I don't think I feel like I'm calling that anyone should be fired at this stage. If they run it back with everyone like Rutherford, Allvin, and Foote, that wouldn't surprise me. But then sometimes like, really? Okay. I don't know. It just feels weird to think that they're going to do that. But maybe they're like, you know what? For the sake of money, for the sake of rebuilding this roster, maybe we do that. And maybe Allvin and Rutherford have what it takes to rebuild this squad. Maybe they're like, Rutherford's extremely, extremely respected across the NHL. I think Allvin would also find another job somewhere else. I think he can do a great work. He'll be in the NHL for a while, in my opinion. We'll see. Now, obviously, this year has been horrible for everyone, all the players, coaches, management, fans. It's been horrible. But here we are. We're finally, the good news is they finally started to rebuild this bad boy, and we'll see how it goes. Again, post in the comments what you think. Thanks so much for being here. And of course, always, we're going to keep cheering this team on. We are definitely cheering this team on, and hope that you have a great night. We'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I think we'll find out after May 5th, the draft lottery. I'll be making tons of content there. Have a good day. Believe in blue. We've embraced the tank. We're rebuilding this roster, and go Canucks, go.